Alrighty, welcome everyone from the Web3 Wealth Builders group. This is our monthly session, the Mailbox Money Masterclass. And before we get rolling with the content for today, I thought it would be helpful, especially because we've had quite a few new members in the last month or so. I thought it would be helpful just to do real quick housekeeping, just to kind of show you what's what and where to find everything. So remember, here we are. This is the Web3 Wealth Builders group. This is hosted in School, and you'll see posts and important announcements and pin posts up here. If you are new, so like if you opted in, let's say for the 7-day accelerator, and you joined the group and you're kind of like, gosh, there's so much stuff here. Like, what do I do? Where to start? The best place to begin is right up here in the classroom tab. Okay, you'll see course material for the 7-day profit accelerator. You will see some of our original Mailbox Money Masterclass sessions. These are, I don't even know how old these are. These were back probably like 3, 4 months ago. They are still going to be relevant though. And then we have the base case and beyond. So I know a lot of you are from the world of Guardian, the token, as well as the base case formula. And this is just kind of taking those principles and expanding beyond them and adding the options of V3 liquidity provision. And then, of course, right down here, we have all our replays. Okay, so this session, you might have found it here. You might have found it on the main wall in the main community, but you can pop into there and watch the replays from the last few months of the Mailbox Money Masterclasses. So that's it in terms of housekeeping. If you know where the community and classroom is, sorry, one more thing, calendar. This is where we post upcoming events, and we are most likely going to be adding a monthly session that will be hosted by Andrew Beatty, and we're going to be talking specifically about avoiding scams and staying safe in the world of DeFi. That's like a whole separate category on its own. And this comes from the fact that, we speak with hundreds and hundreds of mastermind applicants every single month. And it breaks our heart every time, but very, very frequently we get people who they lost 20,000, they lost 50,000. Sometimes it's six figures and multiple six figures to scams that if you know what you're looking for, it is very obvious that they are scams. And again, when I say scam, I do not mean chart go down. I mean people that take your Bitcoin, that take your USDT, you give it to them and then they run, you never see them again. Okay. So it's actually pretty straightforward to spot these scams. But if you're newer to the crypto space, you don't necessarily have a frame of reference, so they can look like legitimate investment sites, okay? Especially because in the last, I would say 3 to 6 months or so, the scams have gotten very, very elaborate, and they actually do kind of look real sometimes. So it's just a matter of pinpointing how to find them and knowing what to stay away from. So I'll be posting that on the calendar probably sometime this week or next week. Our intention is to do a once a month avoiding scams and staying safe session, posting the replays so that at the very least, even if someone's not joining the mastermind or doing anything of that nature, at least they have some base level information on how to stay safe and how to not lose money as the base first rule of investing. All right. I have a couple ideas for today for some content that I wanted to share that's very relevant and it happened recently. So I think it'll be timely as well. And then, as always, these sessions are meant to be interactive Q&A. So if you have some input, if you have some questions, drop those in the chat while I'm talking. It's fine, like interrupt me in the chat. That's totally cool. And then after the content portion of our time together, I'll open it up. And, we usually have a pretty small group live. So there's always space to unmute yourself. Like, let's have a chat. What do you got going on? If you want, we can take a look at a position or something you've got going on in your portfolio. And we can do some troubleshooting or evaluation there or whatnot. So All right. Recently, a lot has been going on in the market. And, one of the questions that I get from clients very, very frequently is around rebalancing. Okay, so as we know, like if you're building V3 liquidity, you take two assets, you pair them together, you select a range inside of which you will earn trading fee income. A lot of that's covered in some of the previous sessions. And then it's possible at some point that your liquidity position will go out of range, meaning that the market fluctuation is significant enough, which it has been recently. I mean, we've seen 30, 40, 50% swings on even some really big blue chip assets. And the question comes up like, when should I rebalance? What are some of the factors? And so I just wanted to give some perspective more from anecdotal stuff that's been happening in my portfolio recently, and just share some thoughts and perspective on that. Okay. As with a lot of these things, it's not always like an exact hard and fast rule, but rather as long as you operate with some tried and true principles, for the most part, you'll be in a very, very good position. Okay. So one of these principles, and this is just for me, I mean, not everybody has to operate with simplicity. But if anybody ever asked my opinion, I would recommend operating with simplicity. And part of simplicity for me means few pairs. Okay. When I do some portfolio evaluations, I've seen people with 30 to 40 liquidity pairs, like at the same time, simultaneously. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. If you love looking at your portfolio and you can manage that psychologically, it's totally fine. It's actually probably good to diversify a little bit. But for me, I like to keep my liquidity portfolio, I like to keep it really, really simplified. And I like to open just a few pairs because as long as I can hit my target range, which is APR, as long as I can land within my target range for APR, I ask myself the question, why do I want 10 different pairs when I could have three, for example, that will still land me in my target APR range? So one of those pairs for me, for the last, it's been over a year now, one of those pairs is this one. And I mean, I've mentioned this on probably almost every other call, if not every call, is just Sol USDC. So you got Solana, which, by the way, I also hold Solana unpaired. I'm not putting all of my Sol into a pair. I have some Solana unpaired. I have some Solana in a pair with USDC. That's for me, that is a way to hedge what's happening in the market. And recently, this was made very like it brought top of mind for me because I had my Sol USDC pair and my one pair, the range is set to, I think it's about 200 to 250. Okay. And that's not a magic number. It's just that's what this pair was set at. Now, recently, if you've been following the market, it's been below that, it's been above that. Like it's been back and forth for quite a while. And so what happened was I set this range and it went out of range over here. So what does that mean? V3 liquidity, my position got converted to 100% sold. Now I could have said, oh no, I'm out of range. I should rebalance this immediately. And if it dropped down to 190, I should reset my range to, 150 to 220 or something like that. Put the 190 somewhere in the middle-ish of the new range. But that's not always necessarily the best plan. And in this case, I was like, well, Sol's been performing pretty strongly lately. It's had its little retraces and dips here and there, like so many other assets. But I think it's gonna recover. And part of my conviction on that was there have been a lot of meme coins popping up on the Solana network. And you guys know I don't like recommend trading meme coins, but I know some people do, right? And I know it's part of the market. And what happens when there's a lot of meme coins? Well, people need Sol. because if they want to trade the meme coin, they have to buy SOL and then trade the SOL for the meme coin. So that puts a really high degree of trade volume on the Solana network. And what happens? Everybody needs the SOL token in order to facilitate those transactions. It'd be the same as if there was a ton of volume on the Base network and the Arbitrum network. Well, guess what? If there's a ton of new projects launching, chances are, well, almost certainly, the cost of ETH is going to go up because everybody needs to buy ETH to transact on the Base network and the Arbitrum network. So I was thinking, all right, I'm pretty sure Sol will recover. Now, I didn't know that very shortly after that, there was first going to be the big, I mean, there's been a number of Trump memes, but there was the recent one that just went like ballistic. There was a Trump meme coin, and then there was a Melania meme coin. So what happens is everybody all of a sudden wants to trade this. Retail investors who really don't know what it is, they just see chart go up. They start going ballistic and they go, I want Trump, I want Melania. And what happens? Well, you have to buy SOL in order to trade for those two assets. And there was a time when this range, it was in between 2 and 250 and it was going bonkers. Like normally, if you're getting 0.27% daily, that equals 100% APR annual. Okay. So anything above 0.27 to me is like, that's really, really good because I'm getting over a 100% APR. There were moments when this went up to 5% daily, which is absurd. It's not going to hold there. I know that. There was one moment I looked at it, it was at 15% daily, but that didn't even last for one full day. The point is the trade volume was so crazy, mostly driven by these meme coins, that people started buying and selling SOL as well. Because a bunch of people start buying and selling SOL, price pumps, people start selling it, day traders come in, it goes crazy. So it was so much volume over just a short period of time, a couple of weeks. I was just in the middle here, just collecting fees, right? Free money for me. But it was the fact that I was set up early to capture that because when the mania happened for those, I don't know what it was, probably about 5 or 6 days when it really got hot, you can't react, right? You have to be set up ahead of time. So then this went out of range up here. I think it got up to like 257 or 263. I can't remember the exact amount. It went out of range on the upside. And again, I go, well, gosh, I could rebalance now and set a new range from 240 to 290 or whatever the case may be. But I pulled back and I took a bigger picture perspective and I said, wait, hold on a second. The only reason this pumped so hard, so fast was because of these crazy meme coins. So it's literally all hype. And I thought, there's no way it doesn't at least retrace a little bit. And sure enough, I was out of range for I think about 2 days-ish. And then it dropped right back in range. Then I started collecting fees again on the way back down. So this is an example of this process working exactly how it should. Is it always going to work exactly like this? No. But this is how this process works is while everyone else is hyping up, right? Meme coin, yay. I'm just like, okay, I'll take some trading fees. Thanks. I'm doing nothing. I'm just collecting your money. Great. Good news for me. And then on the way back down, I'm also collecting fees. And then what happened? Well, after another, I don't know, week or 10 days or something, it dropped down to like 193. But again, I thought, well, that's just the retrace from the hype. I'm going to leave my range alone. I'm not even going to rebalance. I'm going to see what happens. And sure enough, a couple days later, we're back in range again. And that's where we are today. I think this morning it was at like 203 or something like that. So the whole point of this is just to highlight the fact that if you can kind of pull back, not get caught in the hype, and ask yourself, like, why is the chart moving here? And typically with the blue chip and the network tokens, the SOLs, the ETHs, the BNBs, the AVAX, things like this that fuel the networks. Typically with those, if they're pumping hard, there will almost certainly be a retrace at some point. How big, how soon? That's anyone's best guess, but usually there will be some sort of retrace before the next big leg up hits. So again, just to kind of pull it back here, how did I position myself for this? Number one was simplicity. I just have a few pairs that I'm confident will perform really, really well. And then as long as I'm hitting my target range, I just kind of chill. I don't try to chase more APR. Like I wasn't trying to chase a 5% daily. It's just that for a couple days it happened because I had hedged and because I had positioned myself for that mania down the road. So now I can take, and over the course of the 1 month in my Sol USDC pair, it was about a 20% return. Okay. And you'd go, well, hold on, only that's only a 240% APR. Brandon, I thought you were telling me 5% daily, 15% daily. Yeah, that was the pace that was set for those very short time frames. But ultimately, over the course of a month, it was about a 20% return. And that was just on the trading fee income alone. So I'm going to paint a hypothetical here. Okay. This does not have to be your portfolio at all. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if you've got, let's say a $30,000 crypto portfolio and you go, you know what? I think I want to put 10K into liquidity pools. If I was doing that, I would say right now, what is the simplest play that I could make? And I would say, well, I'd probably put 5K in a Sol USDC. I'd put the other 5K in an ETH USDC or USDT. It would just depend on a number of variables, which platform, which dexes are trading, what the volume is like, all that good kind of stuff. So I'd evaluate. But I would do Sol stablecoin, ETH stablecoin, 5K each. And that's it. That would be my entire liquidity portfolio. Again, this is just a hypothetical. You can play it however you want. And then if I had gotten, let's say a 20%, let's just say I got a 10% return monthly, which is still really good. 10% monthly. Great. I've still got all my base liquidity and it might have fluctuated a little bit in value, right? It might be worth 11K. It might be worth 9K. I don't know, but it's fluctuating. That's just the market. It does its thing. But over here, I've got my pure upside, which would be about 1,000. And that would be partially Sol, partially ETH, partially stablecoin. Okay, because I get paid in the assets that I'm pairing up. Then I would take that $1,000, and again, hypothetical, what would I do with the simplest portfolio? I would take that and I would probably divide that up. I'd probably keep my Sol because I really like Sol personally. And I'd take my ETH and USDC and I would buy Guard. Again, just one example of how to play this. So now I'm sitting in a pair, Sol USDC, that's super stable. Like the worst case scenario is I go out of range on the downside and I get converted to 100% Sol. Oh no, more Solana. What a bummer. That's like a worst case. So now I'm sitting in pairs of the bluest blue chip assets and I'm getting paid to do it. And now I can take that and put it into my macro beliefs, my bull run portfolio. Might be Sol, might be ETH, might be Bitcoin. For me, it's a lot of it's Guard and Bitcoin. Okay, so it's kind of personal preference at that point, what you use that for. But the idea is I'm going to hedge by playing both sides of the equation. I'm going to play liquidity provision and I'm going to play stockpile unpaired assets along with that. Now, my actual portfolio is a little bit more complex than this. I'm just saying if all you had was 10K that you're willing to put into liquidity provision in V3, this is one example of how you could approach that in a risk mitigated way, right? You could if you wanted to go high risk, oh yeah, sure, I'm going to buy fart coin and Sol and I'm going to get my 4% a day or whatever. I wouldn't recommend doing that with a large portion of your portfolio. I would recommend rather stick to the assets that at this point, nothing's fail-proof, but at this point, I mean, Solana and ETH are probably two of the safest crypto projects to be in at this stage because they've proven themselves reliable over time. They have high utility, they have great narratives, a lot of money behind it, and they just continue to perform like really steadily over the long haul. So let's pause there. And there was a chat here. I don't know if this was a question or what. 295 was the high. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Al. So that's even higher. And so you figure my range, my high end of the range was 250. And at one point it got up to 295. And I was like, I'm just going to leave it. But again, that's contextual, right? Because I knew the hype or the spike rather, the spike was caused by hype. And any spike that's caused by hype will usually very quickly come back down into a reasonable range. So up to 295, it went back down again after that, I think to 190 or maybe even a little bit lower. And now we're sitting right back in that, 203, low 200 kind of a range. Yeah, you were in range probably about 80% of the time. You got it. And that's the point is you don't have to be in range 100% of the time to get a 20% monthly return on stuff like this. You can be in range 70, 80% of the time and you'll still be okay. And over the course of an entire year, yeah, you'll probably end up around 100% APR, all things considered. You might get some 20% months, some 10% months, and then you might get some 5 to 8% months, but it's all going to balance out over the course of the long haul. So that being said, questions or something that anyone here live wants to bring to the table, you can drop it in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself as well.
Hey, Brandon, I've got a question for
Yeah.
you. I just opened a new position in ETH and USDC,
Okay.
and it's fine. And then I was looking, there is a new position that I've never had this before. People have dropped coins in my accounts, but somebody has opened a position in my account. And so it doesn't have anything in it, but it's showing up as belonging to me, and I don't quite know what to do with that.
I have that
Yes.
too. The same thing I was going to ask about.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
okay,
I've seen that as well. And it happens on the crystal interface, and it looks like there's a whole separate pair, but it has no value, correct?
right.
Yeah. So in that case, just leave it alone. I don't know what the deal is there. There's two possibilities. One possibility is someone has airdropped you what appears to be an LP, either token or NFT. And if that's the case, anytime someone airdrops you something you weren't expecting, you just leave it alone. You don't touch it because if you try to fiddle with it or sell it, you have to grant contract permissions. And if someone is trying to be malicious, then those contract permissions will be to drain your wallet. Or the other possibility, which is also likely, is that the Crystal UI, the user interface, is just being a little buggy and it's displaying something that's not accurate. That also happens very frequently with Crystal specifically.
Okay, thank you.
To add a little more, mine is USDT and it's nexoswap.org. I don't know if that's what yours was, James.
That is what mine is. Yeah, exact same thing.
Okay, just leave it alone then, huh, Brandon?
Just leave it alone. Yeah, don't touch it. Don't try to fiddle with it. Don't try to adjust it in any way, shape, or form. It just the nature of crypto is such that anyone who has your public wallet address can put anything in there, but it's benign until you start to interact with it and or grant it contract permissions. And a lot of people get tricked. So people will, for example, one of the scams that's out there is they'll put in BTC into your wallet and you think, oh, someone gave me Bitcoin. I'm going to go sell it. It's not actually Bitcoin. It's a malicious asset named BTC. You go to sell it on Uniswap. You have to grant contract permissions. Then you sell the BTC and then they drain your wallet as a result of that. So that is one of those avoiding scams and staying safe principles, which is if you got something you weren't expecting, leave it alone.
And an additional thing, I talked to Brandon on Friday, had an issue of part of the patient investor or investor mastermind through that, and he gave me another technique that's worked very well. I didn't know
Oh,
if
good.
if it's been mentioned in the past, but
What,
at least it's got some of those positions making money again. And based on your comments, I will certainly simplify
yeah. Was
my
that with Greg
portfolio
or with
once
Dennis?
things hopefully improve. So just wanted to throw that out there. I appreciate the guidance that Brandon gives and the little techniques. So very pleased being able to work with him one
Yeah.
on one like that.
Yeah, and you're doing it right too. You're taking your time, going slow, being patient. Like that's really that's the crux of it all, rather than trying to like push harder, harder, harder all the time.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, great. Thank you again.
Yep, you're welcome. What else? Questions, contributions, kind of an open forum here.
Brandon, is there any other, phishing scams or anything that's come to your attention that's top of mind or comes up frequently?
The one that I would say comes up well, let's say the two that come up most frequently. The one is it will be a site that claims to be an investment site. Like, park your crypto here, we manage it for you. You get 1 to 3% daily gains. It's all fake, but you get 1 to 3% daily gains, and then you have an account that you can withdraw from. So people put in their 20 grand. After a month, they go, wow, you have 300 grand. We didn't think it would do this well. And then you go to withdraw, and oops, you can't withdraw it now. Now, really, you never could withdraw it. It was all fake to begin with. But people don't know that. They think, oh, I'm going to just park my money here. Now, the reason it's so deceiving is because average Joe who's new to crypto, they don't understand building a crypto thing. Like, it takes a lot, especially if it's like a coin, like an exchange or a place that holds assets for you, like a Coinbase or a Kraken or something of this nature. Like, they're really, really involved. But a lot of these things that pop up, you can look up their domain and it's like they registered their domain 3 months ago. And I'm like, you did not build Coinbase plus 10 other things in 3 months. Like, it just didn't happen. So that's the main one though, is park your crypto here, like give us your Bitcoin, your USDT, and we'll handle it for you, kind of a thing. To my knowledge, um, there isn't like a massive conglomerate public facing service like that. There are people who do that, but it's usually like someone you've met in real life that you would already kind of know is reputable. There's not just like a site somewhere that collects everybody's crypto and then trades it for them and then distributes profits. It'd be great if that did exist. It's just not, it hasn't come about yet. And the ones that appear legit, they usually fail within 6 to 12 months. Fail. They usually just take the money and run within 6 to 12 months. Then they just open up a different site, but they do the same thing. So in all likelihood, it's the same people behind it, operating out of who knows, Dubai or Switzerland or something. And they just take your stuff and run. The second one is they will invite you to a WhatsApp group. And the WhatsApp group will pretend to be, hey, we're the friendly customer support team for XYZ. What makes it really insidious is they will typically find a big name like, oh, what is his name? Is it Tim Sykes or Tim Skies or something like that? They'll find a big name who has like decades of good reputation in the trading space, and they will pretend to be that real person. So it's no longer just, oh, I'm a random guy somewhere across the world. It's now, oh, hi, this is Tim Sykes. Like, I'm going to trade for you. Look at my track record. And you go to the real Tim Sykes site and you go, wow, this guy's been around for like 20 years. It must be reliable. But they're just posing as the real person. And they always bring you to a WhatsApp group. And they always communicate only via email and text messaging through WhatsApp. So it's never like on a Zoom call like this, face to face meeting a real person. It's always these like anonymous things. And then to make that one even more confusing, they have fake WhatsApp accounts that are pretending to be clients, posting, "Oh my word, I just withdrew 20,000. This was such a great experience. Thank you so much." So people see all the social proof and they think, "Oh, it must be real because there's all these other real people in this group making money off of this." But of course, the real people, they're fake accounts. I don't think they're bots, but I think they're fake accounts posting wins that aren't really wins. And then they get you to, again, contribute your Bitcoin or USDT to whatever, what it's just a wallet address, basically. They're saying send your Bitcoin here. They send it to you, or you send it to them. And then at that point, like as soon as you've sent it, it's gone forever. But they string you along more because they want you to think, oh, your 20,000 is now 400,000. And then they'll say things like, oh, but to withdraw, you have to have contributed at least 10% of the total value. You've only put in 20,000, you have to put in 20,000 more, then your total contribution will be 40,000. Now you can withdraw the whole 400,000. Then people put in another 20 thinking they're going to get it back. And they go, oh, well, no, actually, you need to put in 20,000 more. Like they'll milk it for as long as they can to get somebody to keep contributing to their wallets. So those are the two main ones, and everything else kind of is some derivative of that.
Yeah, I think AI is contributing to the confusion and to their success. Would that be true?
Yeah. Like AI, like scammy malicious AI.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if the scams and attempted scams continue to get more and more realistic sounding and elaborate. And that's why it's obviously critical to slow down, never click the buttons if you don't know what they're for. And especially if it's like hyper urgent and pushy, you always want to pull back. Because crypto or otherwise, all scams are hyper urgent, right? It's you got to do this now or you're going to lose out on XYZ. So it's false urgency and fear of missing out.
Um, Shield is going to be launching this week at some time.
This
Are you doing
week,
any
yeah,
prep
would they
work for
say
that at all?
Wednesday? Was it Wednesday?
I think so. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Are you doing any prep work for that?
I'm not doing any prep work on the marketing side or with the project itself. That's primarily Wizard or Oleg in the private sale group, and Sir Frumps a lot. So those are the two guys. And Sir Frumps a lot. I won't dox him in case he wants to remain anonymous, but I have met him in real life. So he's a good guy. He's very intelligent. He knows his stuff. So I'm going to be helping out post launch with publishing some video tutorial information because Shield is such that if you've never done like a synthetic and a pairing before, it could be very confusing because you like most people, especially retail investors, they're jumping in going like, oh, I buy low, sell high, right? That's all there is to this. But the reality is, no, you can actually take these assets, create a synthetic, pair them up, and then you'll yield Shield as a result of creating that pair and being a part of that pool. So I'll be publishing that kind of stuff, and then I'll be posting those at first primarily just in the Shield Telegram group, and then I'm sure it'll get shared outside of that group as well.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that. I was just wondering if you were going to do it in this platform at all.
In this like in these sessions,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And on the
um,
wealth builders.
I don't know if I will or not. Maybe we'll do like one big session. I'll see. My original thought was I'm just going to publish like a series of, 5 to 6 minute tutorial videos. And so
Right.
anyone could go and open positions at their own pace. But it might be worthwhile to do like one big, 45-minute kind of walk you through the entire process kind of a thing, and then record that and post the replay. So, um,
Yeah, that might be helpful.
that might be our March session. So I'll publish stuff between now and then. But well, maybe we'll do a bonus session. I don't know. I'm gonna wait until it launches, kind of feel it out, and then bottom line is something's gonna get published, and I'm gonna provide some material to help everyone out. Yeah, Alan says beware of the WhatsApp scam called Law Visual. Yeah, and they're Alan, you've experienced this too. They're all on WhatsApp because that's worldwide and it's the easiest app to remain anonymous on. Telegram's pretty easy to stay anonymous too, but in Telegram there are still legitimate like Telegram is where the legitimate projects and the scam projects hang out. On WhatsApp, it's 100% scams. All right. Any other questions or contributions for today? Otherwise, I'll give you your 20 minutes back.
Brandon, I'm curious what you use for hardware wallets and for transaction signing
Yeah.
uh, within
So
your own.
my preference that I've used has always been Trezor. So Trezor.io. You'd always buy direct from their site. And I just bought, I just set it up yesterday or 2 days ago, actually. I bought the Trezor Safe 5, which is their most recent model that they released. Previously, I just had the Trezor, I think it's Model T that I was using. So I just bought the Safe 5. I haven't done enough personal exploration on it, but it looks pretty much the same. Like you download the same Trezor suite on your laptop or desktop and interact with it in that way.
So you both store bull run bag stuff in there and then also sign transactions with most of the exchanges. What about
Yeah.
like say SUI? Do you operate on SUI at all? And
I have a little bit of Sui. I honestly haven't touched it or looked at it in months. So for me, I just have some Sui unpaired. I haven't done much pairing with Sui yet, but I know a lot of people are. Oh, what is it? Is it Turbos Finance? There's a couple of sites that are reputable and work really well for Sui liquidity provision.
so within your liquidity portfolio, is 100% guarded by your Trezor for signing? Is that something that you
Correct.
okay?
Yes. So you can like say for MetaMask, for example, you can layer the Trezor along with MetaMask. So for transactions, you end up having to do multi-sig. So you sign on MetaMask, and then you need the extra confirmation layer from the Trezor directly.
So that's part of your standard procedures
Yeah,
for
and
security.
that's ideal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, when you see me do demos and stuff, I don't have that because my demo wallet is like, there's 500 bucks in there or something.
Right.
So I don't bother with it for the demo stuff, just because it can, it's a lot more clicking. But for the actual, like the bulk of the portfolio, you would want that additional layer of security. And the user interface I mean, I've never personally used the Ledger interface, but the Trezor suite, the piece of software that you interact through, I think it's really, really good. It's really well done, easy to use. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll give you guys your 17 minutes back. I'll be posting the replay in the Web3 Wealth Builders group as soon as it's done rendering. And oh, I forgot to mention this as well. In the Web3 Wealth Builders group, and this is for anyone watching on the replay as well, you can message me directly. So anyone inside of that group, you do have messenger access to. Obviously, if it's random people, they might not respond to you, but just know that the admins, like you can reach out directly to myself or any of the other admins in that group. If you got questions or you want to chat about schedules or updates or what have you. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day and a great week, and we'll see you next time.